All right, all right, all right. Hey, good morning. I'm saying good morning because if you watched the first part, this is going to be the second part working on the kitchen remodel. So I'm going to give you an update. The last thing I did was say I had to go out and get some valves to go underneath the kitchen sink so I could remove the kitchen sink and have the water shut off. And between doing that, I also told you I was working on the air conditioning. So I did go ahead and complete the air conditioning job. The hardest part was releasing these panels so I could get access. They have screws there and there. And like I said, this place was probably located here 30 years ago. What happened to all the screws are on top there? I picked them up. Anyway, the screws were rusty, so I couldn't get a nut driver on them. They had a slot in them for a screwdriver. That wasn't working. So it was painstakingly awkward, and I used vice grips, and they didn't even like to bite very well. They would slip off constantly, but I managed to get it off. They go up underneath here. You can see there's a tongue and groove, and they go up underneath here, so it's really hard to get something and work it up there, but I got these off. I was able to get behind the air conditioner. This one's just sitting there for now, and I was able to reattach the ductwork. Before reattaching it, I actually trimmed it all the way around, nice neat circle. And I put a orange crate there to keep it from off the ground, because it actually goes over top of a sewer line there, and then it's kind of dipped down before going into the air conditioner. So I think that was causing a slight bit of stress on the line. Plus, now it's even more efficient. This is the return line, and I knew something was wrong. I said, why is it running so long before it kicks off? Well, like I said, that had managed to come off the back of the AC. So I reattached it, and I even put a zip tie on the outlet, an extra one. So we're good, and it's a good thing I did it because I needed that AC last night, and it's going to 83. I have the air conditioner set right now at 72 degrees inside the house, so it's going to be comfortable for working in the kitchen. I'm probably not going to get to putting those panels back on. It's going to be cooler a couple days from now, so I'll just stack them in front of there. I got to worry about the stupid cat running under there. I thought I had that blocked off overnight when I came out. Two of them were laying on the ground, so I don't know if the wind caused them to fall over, but it looked like there were paw prints on it also. So I got to block that off, just find some screws. Maybe I will attach them, we'll see. But I made a parts run, and I got shark bites. So we're ready to go ahead and tear into this job, because I have to shut the water off before I can actually rip this cabinet out. So I'll have to go do that. And once the water's off, I will cut the lines. I was on my way out to the tool shed, and I heard peck, peck, peck. A red-hooded woodpecker. How much wood could a woodpecker peck if a woodpecker pecked wood? I've got this on full magnification, so it's hard. I'm trying to hold the camera steady, so forgive me if it wavers a little bit. But I'm on my way out to the shed. I have a PVC cutting tool that I bought when I was working on the bathrooms to sever those water lines. All right, I think I will call him Gregory. If you understand why I'm naming him Gregory, put it down in the comments. I'll sometimes be laying in bed some days and I hear brrr, brrr. I don't know why, chipping away up my gutter or something, or my siding. Doesn't happen too often. Hasn't happened this year. I heard it last year. All right, let's get back to work. See you later, Gregory, or Greg for short. Now, here's the tool I came out to the workshop shed for. This is a PVC cutter. Bought it last year about this time to cut the gray piping so I could install vanity sinks. There was no shut-off valves on there, so same situation. Now I've got to go over there. Well, I guess I could just go up to the power box, either one, and shut the well off. So let's just go up to the power box and do that. Power box is over there on that telephone pole. There's also a, it's not so much a shut-off switch, but there's a little gray box down there. There's a device you can just yank out and it'll sever the connection. I do that when we're going away for a long period of time, especially when we're going back north. But if we're going away for a week or two, maybe I'll pull that sometimes. I had an issue with a guy who would try and steal my water while I was away. All right, let's go to the power box. The guy that had been stealing my water would run a hose across the street to that residence over there. He's no longer around. That's got some nice people living there now, but when he decided to steal water when I had the pump shut off, he actually broke the padlock off of this box. So that's why I have a pair of vice grips on it now to hold the door closed. See, there used to be a loop there to put a padlock through. Well, he twisted it off. So right there, pump. So now that the water pump is shut off, I have to either drain the system I'll just turn on the garden hose. You know, there should be a main shutoff down at the pump there. They don't have one. So the pump has that large cylinder. It looks a bit like a water tank or a water heater. And there's a bladder in there. It's kind of like a balloon. And as the pump pumps the water up into it, it squeezes the bladder tighter and tighter. And that's how we get our water pressure when the bladder forces it through the rest of the house. So ideally, if there'd been a main shutoff down at the water tank, at the pump, I wouldn't lose all that pressure that it takes to build up. It's not like it takes hours or anything. I only think it takes maybe 10 minutes or so, but regardless, there still should be a main shutoff down there on your water line. They do have you can see the main line. There's a spigot right off the main line, but there's no shutoff. So that means the water is running at the end of this hose. Like I said, we don't have city water, because with well water, you have to get your own pressure behind it. We actually planted this beast here 2 years ago. It's doing pretty well. It's doing pretty well. I think we planted a lemon tree or two back and it didn't fare so well. Anyway, we're going to go back inside now. Okay, well, maybe I overthink things. Maybe I'm spot on. Right now the water's down to a trickle. I have the outside faucet on, so we're looking for the water pressure to be totally relieved so I can start ripping the sink out. And in the midst of checking things out, I noticed, I said, oh, counter's wet down here. This must be loose, because I figured, oh, we're going to be using the sink for another day. So I thought, well, let me just give it a little snug. And it goes pop, round and round. Listen, pop. So that's been stripped and not tight for some time. This side, however, I mean, I was able to turn it at least a quarter turn and snug it up, and it got tighter. So we're looking at replacing the faucet, and I ran my hand up this hose here, and I can feel moisture. So that's leaking. I just hope, though, we don't find a disaster underneath the floor here. I mean, I can handle it. I'd just rather not have to get into it. I have a faucet that I guess we picked up at a yard sale over here. And it's a name brand faucet and all. I'm not sure why it was never installed, but then I thought, I believe it's a Moen. And instead of having a separate sprinkler head, your main faucet is this hose here. And you have to feed it back in there. And I noticed the hose has a kink in it. I don't know if that's just from being in storage. It very well could be. Is that going to be an issue in the future if I go ahead and install this? For right now, this isn't the smoothest thing because of that. It starts to go up against the faucet inlet nuts. I think it's just not the best design. I realize, you know, probably be a little smoother without the kink in it. And I guess it goes up as far as that dead weight, which is supposed to help keep the faucet in its holder when you're not using it. So here I am trying to push it back down. It's a shame that it's got that kink in there, but I'm wondering if just water pressure over time will blow that kink back up to where it should be. I bought these new lines to go on here, so I'll have to calculate how far down to cut the gray pipe to install the shutoff valves. And here's the shutoff valves. They're shark bite ½ inch, so it'll go onto the gray pipe, and then it'll connect, the other end connects to here. So I got to calculate where to cut the gray pipe, and you want to leave it a little scotch longer because these are flexible, so you can have a little of that in your line, but you don't want to come up short. But one of the issues is well, what if I don't go with this faucet? Then the inlets might be on the left and the right side of the faucet rather than down the center. And if I've cut the gray to allow for it to mount to this, will that be an issue trying to connect a different style up? I'm sure if we bought this at somebody's yard sale, we probably didn't pay more than 10 bucks for it. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that a Moen. There's no directions. I don't see their name on it. Don't see their name. And another thing, why you got this has to attach to this, but that does not attach to that. No, you have to first attach this piece. So why didn't they design it just so it attaches? No, they put an interim piece. I know one faucet I had that I installed in Pittsburgh, I didn't know, I did like a bench test fit, and it slipped into its coupling and went click. And I struggled for like half an hour, 45 minutes, trying to get it separated again so I could actually install it. I just finally gave up and said, you know, get another faucet, because I could not get that to disconnect. The directions did not say, caution, you know, with a slash, do not connect this until installed. No, it went click, and I tried with screwdrivers, pliers, vice grips, and 2 people. I couldn't get it to separate again. But this wouldn't happen on this one. At least it's threaded. This is a wing nut, so at least it would come apart, but I have no intention in seeing how that fits together at this time. So we're going back under the sink. Looks like the trickling has finally stopped. So it took a good solid 10 minutes for all the pressure that's built up in the tank there to be squoze out the garden hose and out this faucet. So now, if I get my tape measure, we know that those lines that I have attached here, let me detach them. They're just finger tight. These say they're 16 inches long. So that's from the top of the fitting to the end of the fitting. So if you needed to make allowance, I'm sure by the time it threads onto the faucet and onto the valve, you'll probably lose maybe another 3/8. So let's see if I can reach up and unscrew, the wing nuts. I'm gonna need a pair of pliers. Let me get a pair of pliers. I think they're all outside by the air conditioning unit. All right, the pliers were outside on the air conditioner. I should be able to reach up there and relieve some of that wing nut. Speaking of tools, I have this pair of, I'm not sure what you would call them, wire cutters. Well, they don't cut wire. I tried when I was working on that air conditioner. They wouldn't cut through that. That wire was thinner than a coat hanger. And I was so tempted just to throw these in the trash and be done with them. And I would have if they didn't have crimpers on them too. So maybe I'll just grind the, well, wait a second. That's like an anvil on that side. It's no wonder it doesn't cut. The cutting edges on these are flat. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is, because it's beveled inside like it's supposed to cut. But when you look at the surface, they're like flat. So, I don't know. They don't have their name on their tool, so they're not too proud of it. This doesn't look too bad. This is a Do It Best. All right, let's see if this plier, well, they're slip joint. They're not slipping very easily. Come on. There we go. Can I reach up? Well, let me take this trap stuff off, because I'll have more room with my arms to reach up under. Come on. It's turning. Now, the people that build these homes, I believe, hire just about anybody. Put them on the assembly line and give them a job to do. They teach them, they spend about 60 seconds teaching how to do a job. My experience, the same thing with motorhomes. And you're supposed to do this job all day, and they still manage to screw it up. Let me show you what's going on now that I got that off. Why would you have to, could you not install that pipe perpendicular. Plumb. That's why they call it plumbing, right? That pipe is far from plumb. So I don't know where quality control was that day, or they just, quality control said, thumbs up. All right, I hate seeing stuff like that, because if I had been working a job back in the day and mine was even only half as crooked, they would have fired me. All right, so I took the cross pipe off. Now the trap is going to be full of water. What's up with this elbow here? How it makes a hard right turn instead of a graceful curve. I'm not sure once I get into this job if I'll be tempted to true this up. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see when I get down below. Okay, I've got this garbage can, waste basket. I put it under this trap, and I'm going to let the water dribble into it and just go ahead and throw this bag in the trash right after that incident. Now this black stuff is called ABS. White stuff is called PVC. Okay. Let me get this to the door. Don't want nasty trap water all over the floor. That's right. Now you're on the cordless microphone. So I don't have to worry about getting too far from the camera. Oh, I know why this trash bag is heavy, because we threw all the old hinges in it. So I took the hinges and screws off because I don't want that stuff in my fire pit. I mean, I can deal with it. I just have to drag a magnet through it. Oh yeah, trash is gone.
Was there any more that you checked?
I showed the wife what's up with that faucet, and she's a bit hesitant and is talking about, well, let's just order one. Her daughter always orders faucets off the internet, so maybe her daughter will, you know, as a gift, go ahead and order us one. So, but regardless, I will have to make a reasonable measurement to allow, make sure that the faucets are going to connect up. Now, another thing it's, you know, I don't care to see is, you get in here, I got so much glare on when I'm looking at the screen, I can't see. That's not helping much, is it? There we go. That's a good picture. See those gray pipes? They're so close together. Why aren't they, you know, at least the width of the faucet, which is what, 10 inches on center? I had to cram them next to each other. 8-inch centers, that's right. 8 inches is standard center for a kitchen faucet. So why they got them down here in this compartment, they are only like, what, 3 inches on center? And that means they might be actually coming up to the floor itself at that close. Actually, it's 2 inches on center. My math is off today. I'm not eyeballing things like I normally do. But I discovered when I did the bathrooms once that when I cut them, there was actually enough play up and down. So I guess if I thought I'd cut something short in this case by an inch, you'd be able to pull up some more. But I don't know. I haven't crawled under there and looked at the specific pipes to see how high or low that they are dangling. All right, let's go ahead and maybe go ahead and do that. We can crawl under the motorhome. No, motorhome's an RV. Our single wide here. I'll have to crawl all the way across because the air conditioner is on that side and this is on the opposite side of the air conditioner. Do you dare crawl under the house with me? All right, well, I didn't have to go too far yesterday when I was under here. I didn't even go halfway. You see, there's the duct pipe I worked on. So I was over as far as the sewer line there that goes to the bathroom on the front of the place. I actually tucked that old planter basket underneath to support the ductwork. I think I put that tire under there last year. I got a strap of some sort, but I thought it was kind of janky. So now I have to crawl over the sewer pipe. Okay. See, it's called skirting. You can see how the light comes through. That's to allow ventilation so it doesn't continue to maybe mold up under here because of lack of circulation. But I'm going to do a better job. When they cut the skirting for around that ductwork, they didn't do a very good job, so I think it's possible for a cat to squeeze through. Okay, oh, hold on. Like I told you, the hitch is still under here. That's that black line you see. That's the hitch, the tow bar. But there's no, I'm not even sure where the quote axle's bolted on here. I never looked. I'm sure there's some holes in the frame. All right, well, we've made it to the other side. I've had it open down there before. You can see we threw something in there to store it, some garden edging. And it's starting to feel a little humid. Just noticing that little line in the sand there. It's pretty small. No. I'm not paranoid, but I do use a small amount of caution. Make sure I don't grab anything that's been upside down for, months or a year and think that, without thinking, it's possible something could be under there. All right, well, why it's ABS on top and PVC down here escapes me. All right. Well, I see the drain line. I don't see the water inlet lines. I say cat paws. Yeah. Definitely have to do more to deter those cats. Well, there you can see the ABS conversion right there. And the sad thing is, well, you're really not supposed to glue ABS into, PVC, but see, want to talk about how that dropped down? Up, down. So we know the water lines have to be up there somewhere. Hold on. Okay, I can reach up in here. Well, good news is it doesn't feel like the floor is rotted. I don't feel a lot of splinter or waviness or separation of the drywall. Okay, okay, I feel the water lines. They're up there. And they're right next to each other. And they go through one small hole. They barely fit through it. I can feel the holes. If these pipes are 1/2 inch, well, it seems like they drilled an 1.25 inch hole up there for the 2 pipes, but I don't, and I'm definitely under the impression there's no room to pull them up and down. So I'll have to keep that in mind when making my cuts to make sure that I don't say, well, if worse happens, I can just pull up another inch. I don't think there's going to be an inch to give, because I don't want to have to end up under here pulling this down and splicing the water pipes in. I got enough on my plate. There's the other end of the return air. All right, well, I do have the option. It wouldn't be too hard to try and correct that ABS. You can see the off angle starts down here, because even the PVC is not totally square, so plumb. So as it goes up through there, it gets worse and worse. You know, if something is off 1 degree a mile away, the thing's probably going to be 50 feet away from the original line of plumb. So that's what it is here. Here it doesn't look so bad right down here, but as you get further up, the angle is going further and further and further away. All right, well, I'm prepared to make my way back. Now that I've got that tidbit of information that there's no room for large error on the water supply lines. Check these out. These are, if you're not familiar with Florida and modular homes, some people call these a modular home, they put straps on them. There's this, what is that, maybe a 3/4 inch shaft, and on the end of it is a big corkscrew. So they screw those in, and then they attach these straps. So I guess if the weather ever got nasty enough, your house doesn't flip over. Well, at least crawling on the sand, it's not so hard on the knees. Up and over the water pipe sewage line. That's a 3-inch line. And let me think about this. I mean, yeah, it goes down. Okay, yeah, it's coming this way. So that bathroom, the byproduct, comes this way and travels out towards our septic. Okay, so crawling over. Don't want to put my phone in the dirt. I can hold on to this I-beam. Okay. Now there's this line here. I believe this is conduit. If you can't do it, nobody can't do it. But where it goes, I don't know. It goes up towards the electric panel. But why it's on its own, I don't know. Heads down that way. That might be the power for the well pump was run through here. Okay. Free at last. Free at last. Okay. Well, now that I know what I know, I'll file that away in my information file. Well, maybe it was a little windy last night. I had this on the hood of the car last night. Right there. So, I can't say that I see cat paws. Alrighty, back inside. You might want to check out my previous video from a few days back. It's got a lot of views, so it's approaching 1,000. But go ahead and check that out. It's titled "My Scrap is Crap," or "Is My Scrap Crap?" Okay, so we know when we were underneath there, this was going up and down. Yeah, see? There are ways to straighten it out. You can put, you buy two, what are they, 45s, and you cut this and you put the 45s and you're able to twist the two of them to get this plumb again. All right, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. We got to figure where to cut the gray lines. Like I said, doesn't seem to be any room for any error. So, I mean, worst things that could happen is if unless they cut one too short, I'd have to go to the store and buy a longer supply line, one of these. So, don't want to sweat the little stuff. If there had been supply lines, I would have already, quote, shut them off under the sink, and I wouldn't be as flustered. But I say these are going to go in here. And I would have shut the supply lines off had there been some, disconnected the lines, shut the valves off, and then start ripping the top off. But so I'm going to go measure and go ahead and cut these and then start ripping the top off. All right, well, I got the supply lines off. The supply line and the water line are one and the same. There is, no, like I say, no shut-off valve here, so that went directly to the faucet underneath. Be nice if I just had a something put in there as a cap, but I could just take the old faucet off when I'm done ripping this out. Now, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's see if we can get this countertop off. Well, gotta find the screws. I'm sure there's something going up under here, holding this to the countertop. Guess it's time to move the toaster. I love frozen waffles. Well, actually I love waffles that have been toasted. I said, parents, don't feed your kids frozen chicken nuggets. Heat them up first. Now check this backsplash out. You figure this place is over 30 years old, so this is the original countertop. No doubt it's taken a beating. You can see it made out of particle board and how eaten away it is. Now snap this Formica. Booyah! Throw these out in the yard here. I'm just going to open the door and heave them in the direction of the fire pit. Now these might go in the trash can, being I have all that Formica on them. I know an option was, and I don't think it's a realistic one, is to make your own countertop. You can buy the Formica in sheets, and you got to buy the glue and spray it down, and then run a router around it, and then cut a strip for this and glue it on. And the funny thing is, I actually worked in a kitchen shop that built counters and cabinetry. But I only worked there a couple of months. I mean, I learned a lot in those few months. This can go out the front door. It's just a piece of Formica. Well, I say the front door. Our front door is our back door, and our back door is our front door sometimes. Oh, turn you around. Calling this thing a cabinet, I guess, is a stretch because we already determined that it was one big unit. But not only that, it has no back. It just has the lip, I guess, is screwed to the wall back there. So I'll be pulling those screws out. And as far as lifting the countertop off, there really is not much to lift it off of. So let me go ahead and break those screws free back there. I guess there are some inside screws. If they come out easy enough, I'll go ahead and get these inside screws out as well as the back ones. Just because it'll, rather than try and wrestle and crack and snap. Are those the square shanks? Trying to get you in focus here. No, that's not it. Oh, up higher. There it is. That looks like a square shank. All right, let's get the square shank bit out. All right, I got my square driver bit. Got my 3/8 impact. It'll be a little awkward reaching up and under, but fortunately they're at an angle. I'm not sure what's happening there. Maybe nothing's happening. Let's try this one. Oh, I'm glad they put a flashlight into these power tools. There we go, I got one. Couple more to go. I see, like I said, this countertop is just bolted directly to the wall. Because this isn't a cabinet as much as it's just a frame with a doors on it. Okay, we were on a roll there. What happened? It was coming out. Okay, got number 2 out. I hope there's not behind the sink bowl. No, I'm not seeing any behind the sink bowl area because that would mean I would have to take the sink bowl out to reach them. Something's going my way. Okay. Now up and underneath, another story. You know what? If I rip this out of there, I'll be able to climb in there and show you what I'm dealing with. These drawer slides. You're still up too high. Come down here. All right, well, these are held in with some small screws, but I think I'll just jimmy the crowbar under them. Those gave out right away. Yeah, nothing putting up a fight there. Okay. Sorry for the loud crash, not warning you. Now I can I just put my keister just inside this doorway. Pick up the screwdriver bit I dropped. No rust on these ones. Yeah, that's worth saving. I got the coffee jitters. So that's the problem with using this tool right now. I don't have the proper locking bit device. I'm gonna have to buy one that converts to 3/8 drive. So your bits will lock in instead of falling out every other screw. Oh, excuse me. Nothing like having a sharp cabinet corner in your back. Alrighty. I could probably do it blind. Well, easier said than done. Okay, right here's one. Come on, fall into place. There it goes. I thought the screw fell out and hit the ground. That was my bit, but it did back out halfway. Here's one here. Going by just touch. I was in Home Depot yesterday, and I saw a FlexVolt battery. I don't need FlexVolt, but $265 for one battery. For that price, I should be able to power your EV. Okay, going back here. And is there, yeah, they got a couple more down this back strip. The ones that run alongside the refrigerator. Loosey-goosey, but still enough that it was holding on. And there's one back there in that corner. Ouch. Okay, we have liftoff. Now I gotta check out the far end by the stove. Might be something holding it. I said this cabinet has no back, the same wall you see up here. Just runs all the way down, but it does have a piece of siding on it. And there is a side wall between the stove and the cabinet. Gee, that was really generous of them to put that in there, huh? Because if I don't, yeah, I'm gonna have to crawl inside. I mean, the other option would be to pull the stove out and kick the panel in, and then have access to those screws. But hey, my nickname is Gumby. I'm flexible. So let me crawl inside. Almost there. I'm sure the shelf I'm stepping on has a strip on the wall holding the back of it. Okay, I am inside. And there's only 2 screws here. Alrighty. That should be all the screws on top. Now, this would be a good segue for me to say, okay, see you later, but I can't turn the camera off from here. So I got to crawl out, and I am going to say, see you in the next video when we actually go ahead and lift the cabinet, the countertop off. So, thank you. Give a like and a subscribe. I'm gonna have lunch. I think there's a half a ham sandwich in the refrigerator. Bye.